Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. It's Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. This morning, new fears about the wind in fire-weary Southern California. The National Weather Service says today could be particularly dangerous. How strong the gusts might be, the number of fires still burning, and what President-elect Donald Trump is expected to do following his inauguration. And nominees for prominent positions in the Trump administration get set for confirmation hearings. Who's expected to be on the hot seat starting today and why there are some delays. We'll take you to Washington for a Straight Arrow News report.
From the Straight Arrow News studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
This morning, strong winds are kicking up in Southern California yet again as fire crews are battling a new inferno. The newest fire, called the Auto Fire, sparking in Ventura County, northwest of Los Angeles overnight. It is now charring more than 50 acres and completely uncontained in an area where similar fires are expected to spark throughout the day. The National Weather Service warning that expected wind gusts of up to 65 miles an hour today make for particularly dangerous weather in a bone-dry area which has not seen rain in months. The largest threats remain the Palisades and the Eaton fires, which are burning more than 38,000 acres combined. You see a lot of the wreckage right here. That's about 60 square miles. Water tankers and additional firefighters are positioned in the area as the dangerous winds start to blow through. The Los Angeles County Fire Chief said crews are absolutely better prepared today than they were a week ago when hurricane-force winds whipped the flames and smoke, spreading the fires from house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood. Since then, at least 24 people have died. Flames have destroyed more than 12,000 buildings, many of them people's homes. California's governor, Los Angeles County, and the mayor have faced heavy criticism over the response to the fires, especially after hydrants ran dry last week. Among the most vocal critics has been President-elect Donald Trump. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, who has butted heads with Trump many times in the past and vowed to, quote, Trump-proof California, criticized the soon-to-be president in a letter. He accused Donald Trump of politicizing the disaster and spreading misinformation, calling on the soon-to-be president to visit the area, saying, quote, the hundreds of thousands of Americans displaced from their homes and fearful for their future deserve to see us all working together in their best interests, end quote. Trump's team is now engaged in conversations about making that visit. The Wall Street Journal is reporting this morning that Donald Trump will likely go to California sometime next week following his inauguration. It's not just the Los Angeles area in danger today. A large part of Southern California is under an extreme fire danger warning through tomorrow, including densely populated Thousand Oaks, North Ridge, and Simi Valley. Meantime, there's a different kind of danger threatening the eastern half of the United States. The National Weather Service is forecasting a fresh Arctic blast will sweep over the area, threaten to freeze pipes, and put a strain on energy resources across a large part of the country. While it's not expected to cause major snowstorms, meteorologists say it could bring the coldest weather of the winter so far before moving on starting Thursday. Then yet another Arctic blast. The cold air will again hit the Plains states this weekend into early next week. The air will then turn eastward. Shortly before 1 this morning, the Justice Department posted to its website Special Counsel Jack Smith's report on his findings in the investigation into the election interference case involving President-elect Donald Trump. In it, Smith says he believed there was sufficient evidence to convict Trump of trying to obstruct the 2020 election results should the case have gone to trial. Trump pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the case was eventually dismissed after Trump's presidential election victory in November due to the Justice Department's policy not to prosecute a sitting president. In the 137-page report, Smith wrote, quote, the department's view that the Constitution prohibits the continued indictment and prosecution of a president is categorical and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the office stands fully behind. Continuing, indeed, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial. In the report, Smith said his team determined that Trump knew there was no outcome determinative fraud in the 2020 election and that many of the specific claims that he made were untrue. Smith said Trump knew he had lost the election. Smith, who resigned from the Justice Department last week, wrote his team had no interest in affecting the presidential election. And in a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland accompanying the report, he wrote, quote, "My office had one North Star, to follow the facts and law wherever they led. Nothing more and nothing less," end quote. The president-elect criticized the release of the report on Truth Social, calling Smith, quote, "a lame-brained prosecutor who was unable to get his case tried before the election, which I won in a landslide," end quote. This is just one of 2 volumes making up Smith's final report. Another volume detailing his findings on Trump's classified documents case remains confidential. A hearing is set for Friday, where a judge will decide the fate of that portion of the report. Staying on the topic of Justice Department special counsel investigations, David Weiss, the special counsel who investigated President Joe Biden's son Hunter, issued his final report on Monday. In the 280-page report, Weiss criticized the president for making, quote, "gratuitous and wrong accusations that his years-long case was tainted by politics." Weiss charged Hunter Biden with tax and gun crimes, but the president pardoned his son. Weiss pointed to Biden's words when pardoning Hunter, saying Hunter was the victim of an unfair prosecution and a miscarriage of justice. Weiss said while other presidents have pardoned family members in the past, none have, quote, "taken the occasion as an opportunity to malign the public services at the Department of Justice based solely on false accusations," end quote. Weiss said he ignored opinions from politicians during his investigation, saying his decisions were based on the facts and the law and nothing else. Senate confirmation hearings for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks kick off today. Our political correspondent Ray Bogan has a preview from Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump's cabinet nominees begin their confirmation hearings before the Senate this week. 13 nominees will appear before 11 committees. On Tuesday, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth will appear before the Armed Services Committee. He'll have to answer for serious allegations against him, including sexual and financial misconduct and alcohol abuse. Punchbowl News reports that the top Republican and Democrat on the committee reviewed his FBI file, which was described by those briefed on the matter as unremarkable. There are 4 key hearings on Wednesday. Senator Marco Rubio is scheduled to appear before the Foreign Relations Committee. His confirmation as Secretary of State will likely be the fastest and smoothest of all. He could be on the job starting Inauguration Day. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is vying to become the next Homeland Security Secretary. Noem will be extraordinarily busy in her new role. First, she'll oversee both the Border Patrol and ICE as President Trump seeks to carry out the biggest border enforcement and deportation operation in American history. She could also be charged with downsizing her own department, which consists of 22 agencies. Some say it's bloated and that agencies like FEMA and the Secret Service should be independent. Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi will sit before the Judiciary Committee. Bondi was Florida Attorney General from 2011 to 2019 and has since worked in private practice. Democrats will want her to make a pledge of independence. Over the years, they've accused President Trump of treating the Justice Department like his personal law firm. John Ratcliffe will appear before the Intelligence Committee as he seeks to be the next director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Ratcliffe was the director of national intelligence during Trump's first term and served in Congress for 5 years before that. Then on Thursday, we'll hear from Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent. He'll have to hit the ground running. The Treasury Department is currently working to prevent the United States from defaulting on its debt. The country hit the debt ceiling on January 1st, and Congress has not yet given authorization to borrow more money.
Ray Bogan reporting from D.C. Along with Pete Hegseth, 2 other nominees were to have hearings today, but both are now delayed. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's hearing to be Interior Secretary has been postponed to Thursday to give time for the Office of Government Ethics to complete its review. And Donald Trump's pick for Veterans Affairs Secretary, former Congressman Doug Collins, will now have his hearing in 1 week in order for the FBI to complete its background check. Turning now to developments in the Middle East, Israeli officials now say Hamas is expected to release 33 hostages during the first phase of a ceasefire agreement that negotiators are working to finalize right now. Officials have expressed cautious optimism that an end to the ongoing war might be in sight after 15 months of fighting has destabilized the Middle East and devastated Gaza. The agreement would allow for more aid into the Palestinian enclave and ensure the return of dozens of hostages held by Hamas since the militant group attacked Israel on October 7, 2023. The Israeli government says Hamas and its allies still hold 94 of the 251 hostages taken from Israel, at least 34 of whom are dead. A senior Israeli official said on Monday most of the 33 hostages to be released in the first phase of the deal are alive, but the bodies of dead captives will also likely be among those released. The first phase would take place over an initial 42-day ceasefire. Finally this morning, their game may have been 400 miles away from their home stadium, but last night, the Los Angeles Rams, forced to relocate due to the deadly wildfires, made sure to honor their city and its first responders. Rams players and staff, including quarterback Matthew Stafford, wide receiver Cooper Kupp, and coach Sean McVay, wore special shirts and hats Monday night to show their support for LA firefighters on the front lines. Great gesture there. Retired Rams star offensive lineman Andrew Whitworth, who you see right there, who helped the team win the Super Bowl in the 2021 season, spoke to fans watching at home and to the crowd in Glendale, Arizona, saying, quote, "We are strong. We will not be defined by this devastation. We will rebuild LA hand in hand together for as long as it takes and whatever it takes. We will build it together," end quote. A moment of silence was held before kickoff in honor of all those displaced by the wildfires. The Rams went on to defeat the Minnesota Vikings 27-9 in their first playoff victory since winning Super Bowl 56. The Rams will head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles on Sunday in the divisional round. And though it was not a usual home game for the Rams, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said more than 45,000 fans traveled from California to Arizona to see their team win. I saw the scoop and score by the Rams just before bedtime, and I knew they had it. Those are your unbiased updates for this Tuesday. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.